I work with trendsetters because, and I'm specifically about religious leaders now, because we understand how much power religious leaders have. You can't talk about social norms without talking about religious norms. And if you really want to shift the needle in a very massive way, those are touch points you should actually be looking at. Now, picking up from one of your critical findings, which is the fact that many of them are very uncomfortable talking about corruption. I don't know if your research provides insights as to why and how you were able to overcome that, that cross that hurdle. So I'll start with you.
Thank you very much. Yes, the research was able to identify some reasons why some of the ministers feel uncomfortable speaking about corruption.
Yeah.
One of the reasons, like I mentioned earlier, is that some of them feel they will do some of their members. All the people who, or most of the people who participate in corruption are either Christians or they are Muslims.
Yeah.
They belong to one religious organization or the other. And many of them are found in churches. Many of them come to churches with dirty money, right, to come and clean it up. Right? So, and many of these ministers also benefit from this dirty money. Right? So, imagine a minister who is enjoying all this dirty money over the years, and then suddenly you are telling the person to come and preach against corruption.
Yeah.
He stands a chance to, he will send a conflicting signal to those people who are actually his customers. So these are some of the things that make them feel uncomfortable. Okay. And then also, we have also identified that some of the members, are used to a particular kind of teaching. Okay, so once you deviate and start talking from that particular kind of teaching, they begin to also feel uncomfortable. So, and you know that the Pentecostal space is known for large followership. It is one evidence that you are a successful pastor when you have a large congregation. Yeah. So you see pastors who are willing to do anything they can to bring in people into their churches. So these are some of the areas that we identify. But the intervention clearly worked, even though if you look at the categories of ministers in Nigeria, you discover that they are categorized into about 3 segments. Okay. You have those at the very top. Yeah. Big pastors, and you have those in the middle, and you have some in the lower class. So our intervention has been going in between the lower and the middle class. Okay. Because those at the top are very, very difficult to reach. Yeah. They are advanced in age and in experience. So very few of them have been able to engage with us. But the intervention has worked because we have clearly seen evidence of less arbitrariness. We have seen that most of the beneficiaries who have encountered this project are more accountable. They are beginning to put in accountability spaces in their churches. You'll be shocked that some of these churches you see, many of them are not even registered.
That's where I'm going.
Yes.
Sorry, I will have to jump in at some point. So, which ties to 2 things: corporate governance, and I'm going to come to you for that because I know you work around corporate governance, Pentecostals and all of that, regulatory mechanisms. And I'm going to come to her because she works also particularly with the Islamic faith. So I'll switch over from you now. So what is describing? Do you also find that in the Islamic faith or across the faith systems that you work? How do you think? So he talks about difficulty in access. So somebody's a high power broker, I'm going to use that word in quotes, and he has a very high trend setting effect. It can actually influence a lot of things, but it's not accessible. But it could have made your work easier if you had access to those kind of people and you're able to socialize them around, sometimes it's even about understanding the fact that there's no corporate governance, accountability systems, and all of that. What's your experience like working with the people you work with?
I think that we share a few things together.
Okay.
The fact that some of these preachers would have been earlier beneficiaries of these corrupt entities.
Yeah.
However, when we started from the general point
Yeah.
of drawing attention to what corruption